Okay, YouTubers, today we are rebuilding an air compressor. This is an old Emglo that I picked up 2 years ago, maybe 3. And you've probably seen it in some of my other videos. I was going to rebuild it like the year I got it, and then, I started using it and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I noticed a hissing sound coming from it. And sure enough, you'll notice the foot is off of it right there. There was a leak, and it was right underneath where the weld was on this back foot. So I took it apart, ran some weld bead, ground off the foot, got the foot up here. You can see I'm getting it ready to weld back on. Originally, I tried to just put a bead in there and it didn't work so well. So I had to take everything off, motor, compressor. I poured citric acid in there. I've got about 15 gallons, 3 or 4 of these 5-gallon buckets. Just put in hot water, and then I poured in, I don't know, maybe a cup, half a cup of citric acid powder, which you can get at the grocery store. I just happened to buy this through Amazon. I think I got 10 pounds, 2 5-pound bags for like 20 bucks. So I've had this sitting around for quite a while. It's a great rust remover. And you can see the yellow where it's kind of leaked out down here. And it's, colored my floor. Probably done a little bit of etching, but I'm sure it'll come up. Citric acid is a very, very mild acid, but it does a freaking awesome job at getting rust. So I'm trying to get rust off the bottom. And of course there are 2 little holes here, but you won't be able to see much in there. So while I was doing that, I went to the pump. I had the pump up here. And you might remember this pump was as blue as that thing. So I went at it with some aircraft paint remover. And it appears to be, you can see my remnants here. This is some sort of powder coating. So it was not easy to get off. I tried my, I've got a good citrus paint remover, and it did nothing. So I had to go to the aircraft paint remover. This stuff is really, really awesome. Matter of fact, I don't think they sell a new formula. It's now, I don't know, biodegradable friendly. I picked this up before they stopped doing that. So hopefully the new stuff does this, but I've got just maybe a 1/5 of a can left in there. And this was new, unopened. I just had it in my cabinet. So anyway, stripped this all down. That took the better part of a day. I've been working on this for about 2 days. There were gaskets on here, and you'll see this is really nice and clean now. There were gaskets here and gaskets here. And these gaskets they're cardboard gaskets, but I don't know what type of glue they did. These things were like plastic. It was so stuck in here. So I ended up taking just an engineered, this is what, 3/4 inch ply. You want to do something that's engineered that you know is flat. So I took this and started with 100, back and forth, about 25 minutes. And you can see I've got a bunch of dust in there. Here's a bunch of dust here, dust all on the floor. That's all from the gasket. That's just removing the gasket. So I do it with 100 grit. You rotate, do it this way, and rotate it. That way you get a crosshatch. And turn it again and do it this way. Try to get even pressure all the way across. And it did. It flattened this down and got rid of my gasket. So I'm all good there. I removed the 2 pins. Here. These pins normally sit right down in there. And there's a little C-clip on there that you can, C-clip's over there, but There's a little C-clip that holds them in, so I had to use my C-clip pliers, a little pick. So I'm ready to go and clean this off. There's still a little bit of blue. You can see some of it in there. I've been picking at forever and just cannot get it all out of there. Yeah, a little bit buried down there. So I'll pick at it a little bit more with my picks, but I've pretty much got this thing ready to go. I ordered a new valve. These are the valves. There's a pair on this side, and there's a pair on this side. And you can see they press down. The ones with the lighter springs are the intake, because you want it to be able to breathe in air. And then it compresses it, and the ones with the tougher springs, and you can feel this, are your exhaust valves. You'll also notice there's more rust. I've already treated this with some citric acid, so most of the rust is gone, but it was a big, thick red layer of rust that was in here. So I've got new valves. I've got new gaskets. The pins are fine. Cost me 45 bucks for the kit. I found it on eBay. This is a Emglo K-pump. Just drilled out the rivets for the tag. K model. This is for an A30, so that's a 30 tank. There's a site you can go to. You'll find it out there. That'll tell you all about the serial numbers and the model pumps, and it's got diagrams that breaks everything down. So these pumps are totally worth restoring. And here's the tag for the tank. Again, K34A30S. So K34, I forget. 30 is the tank size. S means it was for a sprinkler system, which might explain why it's got small holes and not like big ones on the side. Because I think this thing was used to push pressure out, and then there was probably a pipe that joined with water, and that's what did sprinklers. I don't know. I'm guessing that it's a fire suppression originally. But yeah, you can look up all the info on these tags. I am about ready now that I've got it stripped down, got the gaskets off. I'm gonna go out and get some VHT paint. It's an epoxy paint. You'll find it at your auto supply store. It's just better if you don't have powder coating. It's very strong. We use it on engines, and I'm actually going to use the heat-resistant VHT paint in some sort of blue. I got a big swatch of the paint off here, so I'll take that with me and I'll try to find a blue. And it looks kind of like a Ford medium blue, something close. So I'll take that with me, and I'll get about 2 cans of the high heat resistant paint, because this engine, this compressor part, does get very, very hot as it's going. So you want high heat paint on the compressor. Now on the rest of it, you can just use regular epoxy paint. Well, you could just use regular spray paint, Rust-Oleum or what have you on there. But I'll keep, because I want my blues to match, I'll keep that the same. So just want to give you guys an idea of what goes in to stripping down and rebuilding some of these pumps. I've got the bits left here, so I'll repaint it. We'll give it several days to set. I'll put in my new valves, the new gaskets. I'll probably reassemble this pump before I paint it. Then hopefully I'll be able, the next couple of days, I'll be able to try to re-weld that foot on and see if my leak is fixed. And when I pour this out, there's going to be a ton of rust and crap. The problem with this particular tank, there's no release valve on the very bottom. It's just up here on the side, actually where my leak is going. So a lot of the water and stuff that happens in a condensed tank sets right down here, right? It's never going to get the 1.5 inches up on the bottom to go out the release valve. So if I can't save this tank, I'm probably going to be looking on eBay, Craigslist, OfferUp, to see if I can find another 30-gallon tank, or maybe upgrade to a 60-gallon. This K-pump will support up to, I think, that's what it was. The 34 was a 3/4 horsepower. So this is a 3/4 horsepower 2-cylinder pump. And it will support up to a 2 horsepower electric motor. And I think this is a 1.5. So I mean, I could upgrade the motor if I wanted to. But this is still a very good pump. You'll see a lot of these rigs on the back of trucks with a gas motor on them. So if I can save it, I'm going to try. If I can't, I might end up upgrading the tank depending on what's available. And then I just sell the pump to somebody who wants it for, I don't know, $100. So that's where we're at today. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for a completed one here soon. Okay guys, I wanted to show you what came with the compressor rebuild kit. Got a real nice printout. This PDF document's available on the web. It's parts listing, it's an exploded view of the K, and I think the KU pump. Mine's a K. Along with a bunch of other data here. You get 2 actual Emglo gaskets that you need for rebuilding the head, and then you get 2, I think these are the intake valves, so these are the ones with the thinner springs, and then you get 2 discharge valves, which are the thicker springs. And that's what goes, the thinner springs go on the all flat side on a K-pump, and then you flip it over and the discharge goes on this side that's got the I don't know what you call those, divots or intakes. So I'm just going to pop those in there. I took the old ones out. It's just a snap ring. Get your snap ring pliers, pull them out, and then you put them in basically this, I'm going to tell here, this little kind of looks like a gear, goes down first, and then your spring, and then your cap, and then your seat clamp is the order. And the cap has kind of got a raised or a lowered divot in it, so that bulge goes down into the spring. So I'll get these put back together, and then I'll post this. These are just all the bolts I took off of the head, taking the caps off. I've cleaned them off, and we'll reuse them. They're perfectly fine. So that's where we're at. Thanks. Okay guys, for putting these things back in, I just used a little bit of brake clean and blue down there. And there's a hole buried between these two, and in between here to the outside. You can either plug this off. Mine was plugged off. This is actually for a relief valve. Small copper tube would probably go somewhere on your rig. But mine was plugged off. I may or may not put it back that way. But anyway, there's little, let's see if I can get these out again. There's a little gasket. I can't get it out. There's a little gasket that runs around there. I just took a little Marvel Mystery Oil on my finger and went around there. Mine was in very, very good shape. They were not dry or brittle at all. So I just went and reused them. If yours are busted, then just go to the hardware store. You can find an O-ring that will fit these and work. But the little T thing goes down in there with the O-ring. Then there's a spring, and again, I just cleaned it out with a little bit of brake clean. And then there's finally this brass washer. And then you take your C-clip, and I've already done this one here, and pop it back down in there. And it should sit there fine. And if I take my little pick, you can see the spring pops it up. And that's all there is to these. So we'll get this last C-clip on, and then we'll put in the intake and discharge valves on this side and get our gaskets lined up here and make sure that this thing is getting close to being put back together. So your intake valves, K145 by Emglo's. The way it goes is that will go down, the little gear piece. Your spring with the small end goes down. Then you have your little cup piece with the holes, and the cup goes down. And then you put your C-clip on, and that goes down in here. So I will spray a little bit of parts cleaner down there and just clean it up a little bit. I've already cleaned quite a bit, so there's really nothing in there other than the little new rust, surface rust. And no need to use marble mister oil because there's no gaskets or anything here like there were on the pins over here. So we'll do that, and then we'll flip it over and do the exhaust valves exactly the same way. And then we'll be finished with this piece and ready to look at the gaskets and assembly. Okay guys, so here is the Emglo 146 package. It looks identical to the intake. The only difference is the spring is much thicker. So this piece will go down. The small end of the spring faces the geary part. The cup with the holes, the cup goes down into it. And then we have the C-clip that will go along the top. So again, I'm just gonna spray a little brake cleaner in here, make sure those are cleaned out good. It's just a little bit of surface roughs. You can see these are the new ones that I put in, and they spring back just fine. And this is the intake on the flat side, and the exhaust, which has the thicker springs, goes on the side with the divots cut into it. So that's next.